to be to get that going, so that we're getting the information out there tonight.
Okay, we have started.
Great. My name is Dave Edwards. I'm your board president for Powder Ridge. And first thing we want to do is to thank both the audience on the online audience and the people who made the effort to come here and be here at the library in Centerville tonight to discuss where we are with Powder Ridge, to do our business of our annual meeting. And part of these things that we do tonight are meet the legal requirements that we're required to for our status as a Utah nonprofit corporation. And so there's a little bit of housekeeping we'll do, and then we'll get right into where we are with the resort, what our path is. But again, we appreciate that you're willing to participate. We'd ask that you put your questions from the online audience, put your questions in the chat, and we'll try and get to those as we go along, as time permits. We're shooting to be hold to a 1-hour meeting, but we'll do what we need to get you information and get things started. So again, welcome to our 2025 annual meeting. And the first order of business is for us to determine that we have a quorum of voting members to be here to validate our meeting and form that and document it. We do have the entire board voting for the association and the master association. So we do in fact have a quorum attending. And so we'll record that for our minutes for tonight. I'd like to introduce the board if you have that opportunity. David Pendergast, say hi.
Hey, how are you, David?
Jeannie Olson. Again, I'm Dave Edwards. This is Tucker Hodgson and Grant Hodgson. But you'll also notice we have some guests over here. If you can pan over that way with the camera, that'd be great. Richard Bird is representing us in the Sailor Resort on the real estate side. And our longtime legal counsel, Jeff Hollingworth, is left over there. If we can see them on the camera, that'd be great. But there's a reason they're here. And that is we wanted to have them be available to you tonight if there are any questions that are relevant to them. But we also wanted you to understand that in this process that we found ourselves in with having to work towards selling the resort, those things, we're working on it as a board, but we have professional representation. We have the best in the business. We've been with Jeff for many, many years, over 20 years that I've been around with doing it. But this is his specialty, is dealing with these associations in the Utah Condominium Act and working in this. He's truly an expert in this field. We're lucky to have him representing us. And similarly with Richard, the part that's interesting with Richard is when we didn't know where we were going, when we first learned that companies were dropping out, weren't going to pay their bills and didn't know what was going to happen. We needed some consulting work. We didn't know if we had $4 to our name. We didn't know where we were going to be financially. A lot of questions. Richard was a real estate professional that we contacted, and he just said, hey, I understand where you are. I'll help you for free. Get to work for months with us before we knew what we were doing or where we were going at no charge, and gave us those initial hints on steps.
I've got full bars here, so let's see. Okay, everyone, we looks like we might be back online.
No, we're not.
Not yet.
We are.
We are.
Back online. All right, thank you. Sorry about that,
How
everyone.
about audio?
Okay, so people are saying it's working and looking good, so we'll take that as a positive.
Do you want to,
That must be looking at you, Tucker. You're looking good.
Yeah, I doubt that.
do you want to do a recap before we go into?
Yeah, let's quickly. Sorry, apologize for the technical difficulties and for us, but we want to make sure we get the information out. Thanks to everybody here for being while we got the internet reconnected and got the live stream going. I don't know how many people are on there. We want to get the information out. For those on the live stream, what we've done in the audience is we've voted to approve our minutes. We determined that we have a quorum and that this is a valid meeting for our annual meeting. And we took a minute to explain what the voting is tonight. We're voting for 3 board members positions, and we're voting for
Pulsing again. And the PowerPoint is not being displayed here.
maybe liking both.
Maybe it's not liking both, yeah.
Let's kill the PowerPoint so you can get that to show.
Okay, I wonder,
Is that better?
move the camera so it shows us?
Now we're back.
Yeah, it is.
And can you hear it?
I'm not listening to it because I don't want the feedback.
Okay,
I don't hear
you got it? Thank you. So again, apologize for technical difficulties. We're probably taking too much bandwidth trying to show the PowerPoint and the screen live for who's speaking. So we'll work on that back and forth. But just to recap, what we've done tonight so far is we have determined that we have a quorum. This is a legally constituted meeting, and that we have the right representation here to conduct a meeting for our annual meeting. We've approved last year's minutes for the annual meeting. We took a minute just to welcome all of you online that couldn't hear us welcoming you anyway. So we'll do that again and say we appreciate you participating. That's a lot of information to get out tonight, and we really appreciate you taking the time to be online with us. And again, for those in the audience here, there's a lot of faces that we see every year, and we appreciate the interest and attendance tonight. We were moving toward voting, and we discussed and wanted to explain what the ballot initiative is about removing the restrictions on the Big Dig in order to sell it. What it comes down to is to sell the Big Dig property, the title is clear now and it can be sold now. And our hopes were to sell that piece of property first, to get the money from that property to use to fund the title work that has to be done on our resort, on our 1,664 titles, which is going to cost us, we estimate, between $1.5 and $2 million. That we want to get that money from the Big Dig. But why would you buy the Big Dig if you've got to wait 30 months, 2 years to 30 months, and pay us for that and not be able to do anything with it because it's restricted by our covenants? So what we're asking, and the reason this motion is put forward as a vote, is because to remove this covenant, our attorney advises is required to have a voting of the membership. And it has to be approved by the membership to remove this restriction on the Big Dig property, so that when we sell it, the owner can immediately make use of it for whatever they want to do. And again, the advantage of doing that for us is that an owner would pay for that property first and then pay for the resort separately at the end when we can get all the title work done and provide them at closing with title for the property. So we find it beneficial in all of those. And then we introduced David Pendergast, who is not up for election. We'll refer to him as a disinterested party just because we like to call him disinterested. But he'll conduct the official part of our business tonight of the election for board members and for this ballot initiative to remove those covenants. David.
Thank you. So right now we have 3 open seats on the board. Jenny Olson is up for re-election. Dave Edwards, our president, as well as Tucker Hodgson. I will now open it up for any nominations and any other interested parties.
Nothing on the YouTube link.
Nothing. So with that,
Did we have any nominations in the ballots that we received? Was
there were no other you're right. I didn't say that. I did not see any in the papers that we had. Speaking of which, does anyone have any paper ballots that haven't been given? Okay, I'll come collect those. They're blank now.
We can get them later. Just
We're good then. We're good then.
So if you want a pen, you can go with that. But, oh, you have a pencil? Okay. So with that, I will just say that the board will be elected. I don't know what I'm saying. It's been a long day. Class dismissed. With no other nominations, the board will be elected by acclamation. There we go. Can't read my writing. So that's taken care of. So that was the first item on the ballot. The second item on the ballot was the ballot initiative to change the amendment so to allow the new owners so they don't have to live under our restrictions and can start improving the property the way they want to. Of the ballots that have been turned in, and again, we have one ballot to bring forward. We do have that. How many who?
Oh, you can vote for all of us if you want.
You can vote for all of us?
Or none of us, or you can vote for the dog catcher. That's an option as well.
Yeah, you need to write into anybody.
I have a question. The second item you.
Yep, that's what we're getting to right now. Termination.
Is it removing it from the Big Dig, or is it removing it from everything?
No, it's only removing it from the Big Dig.
Okay.
Our official documents will stay in place for the resort. but it's for that property. So
Okay.
we're separating the two properties. So the current owner, once it's sold, will be able to make any improvements on the property they choose to do. Okay? So,
Do we have any negative votes in the room for not
We just need to call for all in favor.
all?
all in favor because of approving, saying yes, that we were terminating the governing documents for the Big Dig property?
Yes.
Yes.
Any nays? Okay, so, and based on the votes that came back, and are we getting anything online?
I'll triple check here. Nope, nothing online.
So we have an overwhelming majority of people who have approved and passed this motion. So we only have two votes disagreeing, saying no. So with that, the motion will pass,
Motion
and we can move forward. Thank you.
I guess the other important thing to note about that, just to give a little context, is this removal of that, of those restrictions was crafted by our attorney who makes sure that, again, that we talked about this, that everything the board's doing, we have advice from council, but we're governed by the Utah Condominium Act, our nonprofit status as a state of Utah, and by our governing documents that we continue to refer to. But this is like our attorney put this together. It's on his recommendation. We presented tonight. And we say that for the purposes of the audience, I think I'd like to go back, since we didn't get to introduce people in the initial phases because of the technical problems that we had. Would you mind panning the camera over? I'd like to introduce Richard Bird. Richard is representing us in the sale of the resort. He's a real estate professional, over 20 years experience, and he's been involved in the sale of major investment properties like this across the nation. This is what he does. And one of the things that I pointed out to the audience here that others couldn't hear at the time was when we needed some advice, when we didn't know where we were going, when we first knew that this was not looking good and what was possible with the resort, and needed advice on how to move forward, trying to understand what the options were for your board to come and present to you in this meeting a year ago. We reached out to Richard. We didn't know if we had $5 to pay anything at that point because of where we were with assessments and things. And Richard volunteered his time to help us initially. What we can do, give us advice, connect us with other people and work with us, and not knowing if we were ever going to even list the property. And we engaged him when we did list the property, either representing us in the sale of the resort, moving forward with that process. The other guy that you have sitting over the table that looks stern and official in the corner over there, he smiled. Now, I didn't think attorneys were allowed to smile. I thought they just sat official all the time. Maybe it's just when I'm on the witness stand. But I wanted to introduce you to Jeff Hollingworth. He's been our attorney for at least 20 years that I know of. He knows the resort intimately, but this is his professional skill set. This narrow form that he works is in real estate and specifically condominium law. And he's just he's the go-to guy for us with anything we're doing with the resort. He's advising us in every phase of what we're doing. And I felt like it was important to have them here tonight in case there are questions that we need to answer on the fly, but also to have you be able to see and know that as we go through this process, it isn't your lay board that's just operating without professional advice from two very seasoned professionals who are frankly willing to tell us, no, don't do that. That's not advisable. You need to take a different course and help us craft a path forward that we think will be the best for all the owners. So again, I appreciate you guys taking time to come and attending with us tonight. But again, I wanted the owners to know that we have a professional team that's advising us, and we're acting as in concert with them and with legal counsel advice as we go forward. The next thing up we have, if you can, I need the PowerPoint, so I don't know.
Yeah, there we are. We are right.
Scroll back to that.
My turn.
I think I had the top two. Here we go. Ballot questions.
I think we're
Blue. There we go. You have ballot questions earlier. What's the next one there?
voting and then we're.
Okay, preparation and selling resort. Go ahead and go to the next slide, if you will.
I think this is was just going to be on me, Dave, unless you want to. Or was it? No, this is on you.
This
You're
is
right.
me.
You're right.
Go ahead and go to that slide. With our priorities haven't changed, we want to just come back and hit them really quickly. The priorities we've minimizing risk to the owners, maximizing what we walk away with at the end of the sale of the resort as owners. That's our duty, try to do the best for the owners, all of the owners. People who owe us money, people who don't. We're conflicted in some of that as we go. And obviously preventing further assessments. Having enough funds to continue operating, having funds to complete the title work and wind down. That's what's resulted in the combination of the sale to market them both together, to get money from one sale to complete the other without coming to you and asking for money. Those have been our goals. These are the same slides that you saw a year ago. This is what we were working on and we're still using that as a governing governing piece for accomplish. With preparing for the sale of the resort, we're trying to clear titles to the 1,664 intervals, and we are working toward clearing those titles and being able to sell the resort. The bad news here that we want to talk about up front before we go any further, and Tucker delves into what we're doing in title, is this. If you owe us money, we're foreclosing on you. We are already into that. If you did not pay your special assessment before December 12th, you're still going to have to pay it and you won't get the money back. We had some hard decisions with that, and it's not easy. People had decided they couldn't pay the special assessment or didn't want to because it was, for whatever reason, it's still a debt that you owe the resort. What we came to when we made the decision on December 12th that you were no longer getting your money back was because we've expended $100,000 trying to collect from you and preparing to foreclose from you. You have cost the other owners $100,000 already, not counting what we're going to be expending because you didn't pay your bill. At that point, we had to make a hard choice and just say we're not able to, the people who paid in good faith up until December 12th on the special assessment, knowing that it was being used to fund the operation of the resort to get to a sale, that money goes back to you. When we sell, we committed to you up front that money that you had already paid in the special assessment that was due in April of 2024, that when we committed to you in July 31st of 2024 in our meeting was that money get returned to you if we had money left at the end of the sale. We're still continuing with that. But those that we've had to force to pay it, it's very expensive to force you to pay it. You're still going to have to pay it or we'll foreclose on you. We have to foreclose on you to have a clear title resort to be able to sell it, to get anything for the resort. We feel conflicted. I've had people call me that are angry and saying, I've been a resort owner for 35 years. And I've paid you for 35 years. I didn't pay the special assessment, but you're still going to pay me when the resort is sold, you still owe me money. I hate to tell you that's not the case. We will foreclose on you. You won't be an owner by the time this resort sells if you're not current. And Tucker will go over with you with the processes for that, what the options are. But we wanted you to know that we take that very seriously. It's very harsh to have to say to you, we have no choice but to foreclose so that we can get the title, so we can sell the resort. And we have a limited time frame to do that. We aren't in a position just to forgive you the debt. And when we foreclose on you and take the deed back from you in lieu of foreclosure, if we have to spend that money to do that, we're suing you for the money that it cost us to do it. Not only that, we're obligated to follow those processes that are normal business processes as the board, because we have to look out for your interests. We have that obligation as our duty to you and to the general ownership is to follow through with those financials. To collect debt is one of the obvious fiduciary duties of the board itself in the first place. We're cognizant of what that means. We know that that can damage relations with long-time owners. We don't feel like we have a choice. We don't have the ability to just wash away money that's owed to us. It's not legal and it's not appropriate. We're going to go have Tucker, who is a title professional, for if you missed the introductions. He's a longtime title professional in Utah and very well respected and just happens to be a member of our board. He's going to go over with you what the options are, what the preparations are that we've made to move forward with foreclosures. They're underway, by the way, just in case anybody's wondering. I've had people asking me, yes. And we have already, like I said, we've expended in legal fees and title fees to get those titles ready to foreclose on. We're well over $100,000 at this point today. Without where we'll be continuing to spend your money and our money as owners to facilitate that process. Tucker will go over through the options and we'll take questions at the end of that process. At the end of the discussion of titles, we'll try and give a minute and answer questions from the internet as well as from the group. So let's get to that point. Tucker, take it away.
Thank you. So the process to do this is the association has to consolidate the ownership of all 1,664 of our deeded interest. So like we talked a little bit about to the audience here, that means getting deeds from everyone. For the folks we can't get deeds from, that means a foreclosure. For those that have problems, we're going to be going back to prior owners to say, hey, when you signed your deed over to here, there was a mistake on the deed this way. If not, then we're going to have to go through the legal process. It's called a quiet title action in order to get the ownership of the resort consolidated. For those of you who are current on your assessments and everything, you can participate with us in the sale. If there's money left over, then you will be entitled to a portion of that. And the portion of the sale, we'll have a slide here coming up. We know exactly what percentage that you'll be entitled to. Okay, it's all been set out within our governing documents. So Jeff has been helping us make sure that's ready to go. During the title searching process, I mentioned there's around 4,500 deeds that we had to go through. Typically on a home, if you have your property here in Utah especially, the county will keep an abstract, right? A title history of your individual house, your individual property. In Weber County with this timeshare, they didn't do that. They have an abstract per unit, per condominium unit, but they don't keep track of who owns week 1 and who owns week 2. It was all a jumbled mess that we had to unwind. So that's what's taken us around a year to get to that point, and now that we're there, that's how we can start getting deeds from owners and getting this wrapped up and prepared. So if you are in default again, your options are sign a deed in lieu of foreclosure back to the association. There's a nominal fee that we'll talk about. It's around $75 for most people, and you will be any debt that you have to the association will be waived. You'll be held harmless as we move forward, and that's the best option that we have for folks who can't make their payment. We're trying to make it as easy as possible. We'll be sponsoring, or we'll be having, we'll be able to email those to you. We'll also be able to meet you in person at various times to get those things signed. Dave had mentioned that foreclosure preparation is underway. The foreclosures for timeshares, they're a little bit more complicated than for a typical house. They have to be foreclosed judicially through the court, and they're more expensive. So if you are in arrears on the special assessment, you probably owe around $3,600 or $3,700 right now. Once the paperwork is filed with the court, the foreclosure costs are going to be added to that amount that's owed, and the average judicial foreclosure costs between $4,000 to $6,000. So you'll be owing closer to 10 grand at that time period as soon as the court cases are filed. We'll be reaching out to owners throughout the month of August and probably into September, especially those who are in arrears, to say, we don't want to do this. Please sign your deed in lieu of foreclosure back to us. Please do it. $75. You can just be done. It'll save the association and the other members thousands of dollars. It'll save you issues with the court in being summoned, in being asked to appear for a judicial foreclosure case. It just makes a lot more sense to just let us help you out of this situation. That would be our preference. Please, if you are in arrears, you pay the amount that's owed. Please, we would love to have you. If you pay the amount that is owed, you'll be able to participate in the disbursement at the very end of the sale of the resort. You won't get the special assessment back, but you will be able to participate in those funds. I think that's
probably a good time to just talk for 1 second about, we don't know what that number is going to be. Don't ask. We can't guarantee you anything. We don't know what the number will be at the end of the sale. To give you a number, and we would be not acting in good faith if we tried to give you an estimate. Please don't ask us to do that. The only thing that we would say on that end is we're doing our very best for you to try to have an outcome that provides you with money, but we can't guarantee you anything. But know that we're following this process with the goal of getting the best result for the owner we possibly can.
All right, so let's go to our next terminology. This is our next housekeeping item, and it's questions about, well, I own a prime week, or I own a summer week, or I own a ski week, versus what our documents actually say as to what your portion of any amount will be. So let's go through this. Our ownership in the resort is based off of the square feet of the condominium unit that you own. That's how it's set forth in our documents. So a summer week holder of a 3-bedroom unit has the exact same amount of potential as a winter week. They're the exact same. Same with the spring week. For winter owners, those have been quote unquote more valuable. Unfortunately, we have to follow our documents. We can't vary from what our documents say. So that is it. We already have the calculations in place. We know which condos have what square feet, and we'll look at that here. It's actually part of the recorded documents. I know you can't see this on YouTube, but it will be part of the slide deck. It actually goes through our buildings. It tells you how big your unit is, how many square feet you have, and the percentage ownership you have in voting, and that correlates to the percentage of potential profit when the sale is complete. So
is that going to be available for us?
Yes, that's going to be on the website. We'll put it on the Facebook page so you can see that as well. It's a public document. Again, it's recorded with the county. It was with our latest redo in 2003. Keep in mind, most members of the board were not on the board in 2003, so it's not our fault. It just is. We're following the rules that were made for us. For our account status, again, we'll be contacting owners, all the owners, certainly those in default during the month of August, okay, with an account statement. If you have questions about it, if you have concerns about what your account status is, you can reply to an email. There'll be phone numbers and contacts that you can call us. And the board is, we're members just like work with you and try and do the best we can for you. The next thing, I'm going to turn it over to Dave.
There's not a lot that's changed since our last meeting, our last town hall. We've been hoping that there'd be progress, that we could make some announcements about things, but remember that we're under non-disclosure agreements with any of the potential buyers that we brought forward. And we're working with those groups and negotiating to try to get a sale to move forward. We're still in that process. We don't want to give you an overly optimistic, but we were working with those people today. It's moving forward. And remember what our potential is. If we can't work something out, then we would move to going to market with the property. But we're still in this process. And I guess the most positive thing I would say about it with advice from our attorney is we're negotiating. And that's a positive sign. We're still moving forward, so.
We're about to the end of our presentation. I know it's been riveting, summer blockbuster style. I think
we have somebody involved with the word. I think Tucker's going to say it's got a song and dance.
Yeah, so. I mean, Jaws came out 40 years ago. This is probably the exact same. People coming to the library just like they did for that. I did a fun thing. I asked AI, what happens when a timeshare fails? And this is what AI shot back to us. Typically in a situation that we're in, all as owners, when a timeshare fails, there's no money coming back to owners. Okay? Typically, the owners are asked to continue paying dues throughout any wind down process. Okay? Typically, it's very difficult for an owner to make any sort of money, even if they try and sell their unit or sell their week during the process. That's what typically happens. And typically, there's no financial benefit left for any of the owners. Okay, that's what typically happens. As members of the board, we're working our hardest to have all of that be false for you, for each of our owners. We are each owners just like you are. Our family and our friends are owners, and we do not want to be the typical timeshare. When we figured out we got into this situation, we thought to ourselves, and we had these discussions among the board, how can we be different? And the answer was, we can do this ourselves and protect our owners' interests. Yeah.
So I repeatedly get this question from people calling. And I do appreciate the people who call me and ask questions, even when you're angry about things or things aren't going your way or we're angry about the debt. We appreciate people who reach out to us and we can have a conversation about things. and that you're willing to talk with us and try to get answers, because a lot of times I may not know the answer, and it helps us because we're going and asking and investigating what you brought up. But one of the continuous questions I've gotten is, why aren't we using a company to do this, and why is the board doing it? And the reason is this. You look right here at the end of that, sorry, your slide's not there anymore, but.
Sorry about that. Sorry, go ahead, Dave.
But the reason is that when the companies that do these unwinds conduct that business, that's what we've gotten from the management professional.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just hope, no, you still have those property, you still have those property rights.
I run on hope and prayer, so.
Well, Tucker looks shady, so.
So you're protected a couple different ways. So mechanically speaking, you would sign your deed over to the association. The association then has an obligation to you, because you would get, in exchange for that, you'd get a deed in lieu, you'd get equity in lieu of your deed. And then the association owes you an obligation because of the condominium restrictive covenants. They follow the Condominium Act that says, and the Condominium Act and the restrictive covenants say that when a timeshare association is sold under the Utah Condominium Act and the Condominium Restrictive Covenants, it says the proceeds of the sale need to be divided up and distributed to the then current owners who are current on their assessments. The proceeds get delivered and dispersed to the owners according to their ownership interest. So you're protected a couple different ways. You're protected because of this deed for equity, because the condominium declaration, which is still in place for the condominium project, not for the Big Dig, but before the project, and because of the Condominium Act. So you would have those sets of documents and the applicable Condo Act.
That's a great question.
Well, I'm not an attorney, but I read well enough to be dangerous to myself, so just wanted to make sure.
Does that give you your level of confidence?
Apparently, we went to the same legal schools.
Yeah.
Tucker did too.
So when will we receive, he said he's received documents, any documents?
We're contacting people now. You will be.
Okay, so they're gonna contact us and then send us documents?
Right.
Maybe.
We're going to contact you and ask you what your plans are, and as soon as you tell us what your plans are, the documents can be sent that same day or the next day, depending on how busy
Our
I am.
plans are.
Meaning,
Are you going to stick with this? Do you want to deed back to the resort, or, depending on the owner situation?
we don't know if you owe money or what, so
I
there's,
don't know anything, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Besides,
So for your situation, we'll say, hey, looks like you're going to stick with us to the end. You'll say, yes, I am. And we'll send that deed for equity agreement along with the deed. You'll sign it and just
notarize it.
notarize it, and
we
it'll
don't
be done.
remember ever receiving a deed.
When you bought the resort, when you bought in?
They were building it when we bought it.
Yeah, I've got a copy of it. I can give it to you.
Okay.
Yep. That question.
All right.
Yep. Oh, by the way, for those of you that are on the live stream or those of you here in person, if you have an original deed that has never been recorded, that doesn't have a recording stamp, we need it. We need it. There are several owners who have been paying for years whose deeds have never been recorded. That's what we found out on our research. So if you've got a filing cabinet, a file folder with a deed from somebody like All Year Paradise or Power Mountain Properties, you hit the gold mine for us. Yeah, if yours has been recorded, you can keep it. If it hasn't been recorded, please let us know.
When we contact you, we will be able to tell you if you're one of those people. That's the level of research that's been done. We will know and then reported. When we like you said, when we reach out to you, we'll be asking you, do you have that deed? We haven't found a recorded deed for you, and working through that for each individual situation. That's the research that Tucker's taken a year, day and night to do to get us to that point. So, did you have something in the corner? Are we missing you over there or no? I couldn't tell. Did you have a question or on the back row? No? You good?
I do have a question.
Do have a question. Go ahead. I thought you.
Are we selling, I thought the Big Dig and the resort were being sold together.
Right.
But then we're separating it. Is it going to be the same person?
We're separating
Both of them?
We're separating the closings.
Same buyer, different closings. Yeah, good
The
question.
ones ready for sale, and completely legally closed, the resort's not because we don't have the title. That's the difference.
Did the buyer ask us to remove the covenants, or was that on advice of the attorney?
Yeah.
But you can't answer.
Any buyer would want that. So we're being preemptive.
Okay.
Yep. Good question.
So you're saying now that you're gonna send the packet to us and we can do it and send it back to you, we don't have to go to these parties?
Either way, we're trying to
Either
make it
way,
as
yeah.
easy as can be. Meaning if there's people that,
So we have to ask.
We just want to know when the party is.
We'll email
We
you.
can go to the party.
Tell us.
And then
I don't know, Brian, I think I want to hang out.
if there's the deed party, can the people that aren't up to date or whatever else, when they show up,
Yeah.
sign, pay their
Yeah.
75 bucks and be out?
Well, what our concern really is there's a lot of people, all of us work. We'll do this in the evening when you can't get to a notary and make it easy for people to come and do it. That also might have questions because we'll be sitting at a table and can answer your questions before you sign a document.
It'll be air conditioned, there'll be soft
You
chairs.
didn't tell me to be air conditioned.
Yeah, AC will be turned on, at these
So basically, we
locations.
can wait until you tell us where the party is.
Yeah, or we can email it to you and you can do it on your own and just mail it back to us or drop it
Okay, so
off.
you're gonna wait and see what we want to do.
Yeah, exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
The biggest thing that I would remind you is it seems like everybody's talking like this is going to be no, this is now. We needed to get this title work done to be able to have the information for this meeting, to be able to tell you, we're moving, we're going, this is where, to be able to tell you, we've already started the foreclosure process, we've already expended a significant amount of money. That's a big deal, that we're into these processes to prepare for the sale. The next thing will be these title parties and getting you in contact with everybody. And Kathy Coco, who's the advisory committee chair, is well into organizing a team to make contact with everybody. But we're missing a lot of contact information for people. That's good. That's going to make some legwork. We're at the point where we're preparing to engage that team by signing up for internet sources for tracking people and those kinds of things, so we can try and make contact with owners trying to get into the lawsuits and quiet titles and foreclosures. That's right where we are, but if you're asking when it started, it started. It's not that it's going to start in 2 weeks. We're been organizing this and well on the path to being operational right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if you're contacted the next few days or the next few weeks. So,
For those of you who are on the YouTube stream, hopefully you can hear us okay. You will be getting contacted by the association. Ask what your plans are, especially if you're delinquent on your assessments. We want to get you out of that situation as quickly as possible.
there's another question back in the corner.
Yeah,
If we got the email about this meeting, do we assume you have our contact information?
Yes.
yes.
That's all we need is we'll email you with information if we find it. And you'll be getting we want to verify your information that we have correctly for the legal documents. Those things. And luckily we have a team of owners and you may be asked to participate, who will help us do the legwork to track people down. But otherwise we'd be paying some very expensive attorney. Well, I'm sorry, Jeff. No. or his legal team to try and track people down. We're trying to engage you as owners to help us track other owners down so we can get in contact with them, get deeds signed, contact people who owe us money and be able to say, please sign this over, we're done, you're done, that kind of thing, rather than paying a corporation to do it. And a team that's started, we're not sure how many people will need, but you may see us putting out an email saying, are you willing to help us out during the day with working on this with this team? It's primarily internet work. Any of the footwork that's to be done with going out and contact people, Tucker and I will be doing.
It'll be great. That'll be great. Yeah.
Tucker, you will be contacting people. Just let me say.
Do you have numbers of people you haven't been able to contact, or there's no idea, or?
Yeah.
We have all that documented.
Okay,
Yeah.
as long as you know.
It's the biggest spreadsheet in the world. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Yeah, we'll be contacting. For those of you who do have these questions, like the contact information is up on the screen for those of you that are live. Again, this will be on the website. It'll be shared to the Facebook page as well. As far as, hey, I have a question about my account, or I want to deed back to the association, that Powder Ridge Deeds goes directly to me. I respond as quickly as I can. I do have a regular job. So it might take a minute or two, but yeah, we'll get back to you as quick as possible. And I'm a notary. I've gone to 4 or 5 owners' homes already who couldn't get out, just to help them get their deeds signed. So whatever we can do for our owners that's the priority. If you live in California and you want to pay for me to go, I'm not a notary there, but I'll walk with you to the bank. We'll have tacos. It'll be wonderful. It'll be great.
Can you tell he's excited about it? At this point, like I said, this is what we had in our presentation. We wanted to update you as best we could. The next piece of news with you is that we will be doing town hall probably in the next couple of weeks again to go back over this. We are trying to work on a date tonight. We can't give it to you, but it won't be months. It will be weeks until we have a town hall where all we're dealing with is how to deal with your deed issues. And coming back, we're posting all of this information, all these slides on the website because nobody can get it. People on the online have had sound going in and out. We apologize for that. And we thought we had demons so that we wouldn't have any of that tonight. But it's all there for you to go to the slides and get the information, and all the contact information will be on the website, so you can refer to it. But the next town hall will be strictly to slowly work through questions about the deeds, go in depth into the forms, look at them, and be able to answer any questions. And we're hoping to do that in about 2 weeks to come back, so that we're moving and getting this completed.
Deed parties will be scheduled at that time as well. Again, for those of you along the Wasatch Front, Provo, Layton, Bountiful, Midvale.
Would you like to volunteer your house or deep? We'll find a library or something like that for these meetings.
Last things that I would like to say, I'd like to thank all the board, the professionals over there. You guys are doing this all free of charge. People really don't realize how much time and effort it is. So for me, I want to say thank you.
So right now it's time, we have these professionals here. If anybody had questions, you're welcome to throw them out. We wanted to have the opportunity to answer the online questions. Do we have any, David, that are pending?
No, Tucker's been taking care of them.
Yeah, we've been hitting them as he goes. So anybody have questions for our real estate team or for our legal team? The biggest questions, like I say, we hope we've answered them. The questions about how money will be divided, all those kinds of things. But the last thing I would share with you is, as a board, we are excited about that we're moving forward and that we have a path that we think that we'll be able to successfully sell these work. Like I said, we can't tell you what the numbers will be at the end of the day, but we're hopeful. And we are positive about this and trying to make an effort to do the best for the owners. But we work for you, really. And we appreciate when you call and tell us, hey, I need this, or I need those things, because it's not just you, it impacts a bunch of people. And also give us advice and guidance that we adhere to, and try and take what you tell us to heart. We're working at representing each of you, and we want your feedback. And it's not a bad thing to call Dave and say, Dave, I'm unhappy with what you're doing. I don't like it. Here's what I'd like to see. And we can have a conversation, because some of those conversations have been very productive for all of us as owners, because there are things that we as a board missed, or that we hadn't thought about, that somebody else picked out and was willing to make a phone call or willing to come and talk about, that have changed our path and helped us develop what we think is a good course of action. So please reach out. Like I say, even if you disagree with this, you're welcome to call me. There's nobody that I'm not willing to talk to, and we may end up agreeing to disagree, but we can certainly have a conversation, try and make sure that we have good information between the two of us. And please know, whether you owe us money or whether you're current or whatever your situation is out there, we are concerned about you. There's no, we have an equal duty to every owner, regardless of whether you owe us money or not. The way we have to handle that is pretty much scripted by our legal duties as board members, meaning having to foreclose, that kind of thing. But we don't do it without a heavy heart. When you're going to your friends and telling them we have to foreclose on you, people you've known as owners that you set with at the resort that owe money and you have to foreclose, have to come to you and say you have to deed. That's not a pleasant experience. We don't do that without a lot. It matters to us. We're owners too. It could be us in that situation. We really want you to know that we do care about you. And when we get to those types of things, those hard things that we have to deal with, it's no fun. And we don't take any joy in having to tell people we have to foreclose or we have to go forward and pursue you when you owe us money. It's not that, that we like doing that, we just have to, we don't have a choice. And that's, we have that duty as it's really defined by our legal counsel. We can't just look at debt and say, oh, we don't care about that. Or, because we just spent your money as a board, we can't.
It's not our money.
We don't have that power as a board. We have to represent your interest in the resort, and even, like I say, the owners who. And again, our last plea tonight would be, please come current, please participate in the sale. If you can't do that, if it just isn't in the cards for you, please help us with deeding this back so we don't have to get into a negative interaction with you in a foreclosure and make it much more difficult and expensive for everybody. But our goal is to work with all the owners to work this out amicably and not be in a position where we have to foreclose or sue anyone. That would be the best result for all of us, including also your money. And all of us are in lockstep on the board. We've discussed all this process. All of us feel the same about how difficult it is to ask your friends and neighbors to give us your week back or to accept foreclosure paperwork. Any other questions? I think if not, we'll go ahead and call it for the night, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks with another town hall. Is there anybody that would like to make a motion to? I like you a lot.
Thank you so much.
In the corner over there, you guys are great guys. All in favor of closing this annual meeting? Aye. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, for those of you on the stream, I'm going to end the chat. I'll answer a couple questions and we'll end it. Thank you all for participating.